Alright guys, so the battle for global dominance is heating up. Now we have talked a lot about China doing their best to globalize the world using their export economy. Now Beijing knows their natural advantage, they have the supply chains and the ability to export affordable goods to the world. China's diplomacy is basically exporting deflation globally. And thanks to the chaos happening in Argentina, the US now wants to spread the influence of Mordor using their greatest weapon. They see their chance and Scott Bessent is gonna take it. And you guessed it, his weapon of choice is the US dollar itself. And this move is really significant. Now, just a few days ago, Argentina's central bank was forced to sell over $1 billion in US currency to save the peso. Now, for the US, this isn't a good thing because it hammers the dollar strength and forces Argentina to make choices that the US doesn't really want. Malay might run to China for a swap line to get RMB currency to help import stuff. China is their biggest import country and it's the world's factory after all. Mighty obvious that Bessent doesn't want that. Secondly, Malay might just stop his dollarization agenda. He could drop the plan to replace the peso with the dollar as the currency of choice. So Bessent, he is in panic mode. He's ready to rush to Argentina's aid and he's going to bring out the full arsenal of the US Treasury. He's even willing to mobilize the Federal Reserve. And this could include swap lines, direct currency purchases, and the buying of US dollar denominated government debt. Now, swap lines are easy to understand. Bessent is willing to take in devalued pesos for the dollar, which is more stable than the Argentine currency. Direct currency purchase is even simpler. Bessent would buy a bunch of pesos for dollars in a one-time deal over a period of time. No interest payments needed. Now, this move is seen as a big lifeline for Argentina. It basically reversed the collapse of Argentine assets. Now, before Bessent stepped in, the market crashed by 10% in under 48 hours. But look at this big spike up. Stocks recovered by over 8% in an instant after the US promised a bailout. Well, I guess swapping the peso for the dollar, one brand of toilet paper for a more popular brand is always better. But this move betrays the underlying panic and intentions of the US. Argentina is desperate and the US isn't Santa Claus. They want something in return and it's obvious what that is. Now, on the surface, this makes zero financial sense for Bessent. Now, whether it's swap lines or direct currency purchases, it does not directly benefit Scott Bessent. Argentina's debt burden will be compounded if they take a swap line which has an interest rate tied to it, and it's more than what the US Treasury is charging, so somewhere upwards of 4%. So chances of Malay defaulting is not zero, it's actually quite high. The peso has collapsed by over 99% over the last decade, and it's outside of the recent crash over the last 3 days. The Argentine economy is still unstable, and global demand for their local currency is more or less non existent. The US also doesn't import critical goods from Malay, so buying pesos today is a losing proposition. But why is Bessent willing to do it? Why exchange dollars for the Argentine currency? And the main reason is simple. Global dollar demand is collapsing and the Treasury Secretary is in panic mode. He's trying every method in the book to convince exporters, investors, and countries to use the greenback. This is Scott Bessent again, trying to use stable coins to drive demand for US bonds.
That digital assets are an important source of innovation that will drive that can drive usage of the US dollar around the world, as with stablecoin legislation. There is speculation that there may be up to $2 trillion of demand over the next few years for US government securities from digital assets.
That's why the US wants to save Argentina's economy, because it helps to drive demand for bonds. If Argentina gets a tsunami of greenbacks, maybe that will help dollarize their economy. And over time, as the Argentine economy grows, there will be more and more demand for the US currency. At least that is the grand plan. That is what in Scott Bessent's mind. The demand for dollar is dropping not only on a trade front. The tariff war has done a number on US trade. But investors themselves are hedging or betting against the greenback. The US is a hyper financialized economy, so this point is extremely important. According to Deutsche Bank, global investors are cutting away their dollar exposure at a record pace. Now, the old playbook was just to buy US assets directly. You would have faith in the dollar to either appreciate or at least have its value remain stable. But things have completely flipped since the tariff war. 80% of money entering US stocks are dollar hedged, and that means investors are using dollars to buy American equities but selling dollars using options or futures, and that puts downward pressure on the currency. And that's why, on one hand, we can see US asset prices rise, and on the other, the value of the dollar itself collapse. Global investors are buying real, tangible US companies, but they hate holding the currency. So the trend here should be very terrifying for Scott Bessent. And this introduces a nuance we need to understand. Holders of dollars are frustrated and they are converting the currency into assets. Since Trump took office, the majority of flows entering US assets are hedged, meaning there is demand for US companies but not the currency. And the longer this continues, the more pain the dollar will feel. This snowball effect can be really serious. Suddenly, demand for US bonds could also dry up and yields might rebound. Yes, higher long term yields despite the Fed cutting rates. US stocks could continue climbing to new highs, but the underlying economy could collapse thanks to the dollar and bonds crashing. In other words, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. But there's also another reason why Bessent wants to save Argentina. It's because of rare earth minerals. The US is hungry for all these resources. And a big shout out to our sponsor today, Indigo Precious Metals. When it comes to buying gold and silver, I trust Indigo Precious Metals in Singapore. They have made investing in precious metals safe, fast, easy, and simple for both small and large scale buying. I've been stacking gold for over a decade now, and I've learned two things when buying. You want to buy authentic gold bullion, and you want to buy it at the lowest premium possible to stretch your dollars even further. And I'm glad to say I found both of this at Indigo Precious Metals. Indigo Precious Metals is a leading retailer in Singapore. They specialize in physical gold, silver, and platinum. They are my one stop shop when it comes to buying bullion. Their prices are sharp, and they have the best brands on sale, and I can test the gold on the spot. So if you're looking to make your first gold purchase, Indigo Precious Metals is the best place to start. Whether it's 1 ounce or 1 kilo, this is the reputable dealer you are looking for. So take action today. Click on the link below and enjoy a discount on your first purchase with the code SEANFOO. Start your gold stacking journey today. Now, Argentina sits within the lithium triangle next to Bolivia and Chile. This region hosts half of the world's lithium reserves. And if you manage to control it or have influence over it, you have all the lithium you need for clean energy and EVs. It's a supremely important mineral for semiconductors as well. For the US, Argentina is an opportunity. Helping them financially could mean opening the gates to one day developing US lithium mines to reduce dependence on Chinese rare earth supply. So we have to look behind the curtain. What is the Wizard of Oz really trying to do here? For Argentina, is this really the yellow brick road or the path towards total dependence on the US? Now, while the US is busy trying to save the dollar, we have to look at what China is doing. They are dumping their USD holdings and they are moving into gold in a very huge way. The stars are aligned for China to start accumulating even more gold bullion. Beijing's relaxing gold import restrictions to allow more supply to flow in, we know that. So it's not just central bank demand, it's people on the street, they are buying bars, they are buying coins, and they are buying a lot of jewelry. And here's the second reason. The Chinese yuan is appreciating. It's up by almost 3% against the dollar year to date. And this is the truth. The RMB is not collapsing against the dollar, it's actually the reverse. Thanks to the RMB rising in value, gold gets cheaper for the Chinese to import in. Gold is still denominated in dollars, so a 3% rise in the RMB means a 3% discount in the price of Western gold, which is a very big margin. And that's why China today is doing all they can to hoard as much gold as possible. So they are draining supply from London, they're draining supply from COMEX, they're buying a ton of Swiss gold as humanly possible as well. So if you're sitting in Beijing, you know getting out of dollar bonds is important, but you have limited avenues to invest and neither can you put all your eggs in one basket. Now, investing in BRICS is important. Investing in your own industries like chips is also necessary. But storing wealth is critical as well, and holding dollars is not the answer. Now, the PBOC has been accumulating gold for almost 1 year straight, and now Chinese reserves have exceeded 2,300 tons. That is the official number, but it's probably much more than that. Gold now accounts for 7% of China's total foreign exchange reserves, but if you ask me, I reckon it's more than 30 or even 40%. And with the RMB appreciating in value, we could see Beijing buy even more gold to take advantage of cheaper prices. Trump's trade war isn't just hurting the dollar, it isn't just helping China export more, it's also helping their central government accumulate more gold thanks to the dollar tanking. On the commercial side, Chinese companies are also moving to corner the global gold supply. They are going in with everything blazing. Why just import gold when you can own a bunch of mines around the world? Now, Zijin Gold is about to launch an incredible $3.2 billion IPO since May this year, the largest so far. And of course, the IPO won't be done in Wall Street or New York, it will happen in Hong Kong. And the scale of this IPO is going to be immense. It's going to draw in global investment houses with a ton of money to spend. And this includes Fidelity and even BlackRock as well. Everyone knows China loves gold, they are one of the largest gold importers in the world, so the demand side of the equation is settled, but the supply side is even more exciting. China is the top gold producer in the world. In 2023, China produced 370 tons annually, and last year, this amount had grown to 380 tons. But look at the comparison. China's producing more gold than Australia or Russia. And these are big commodity giants. They outproduce both the US and Canada combined, which is wow. We've all heard this saying, he who controls the gold makes the rules. Well, in the new currency regime, the country with the most gold will have the most say. You have the option to back your currency or even begin a massive gold revaluation that will shock the world. So China is simply positioning themselves to win. Now imagine the access this gold IPO will give them. How much more production will fall under Chinese control? Now today, London and New York, they control the paper price of gold and that in turn controls the physical price. But we will reach a tipping point where physical gold will dictate the real price. The company has been mining more gold as the price continues to rise. In 2020, they mined only 40 tons of gold. Last year, it was over 70 tons. And by the end of 2028, they are looking for over 110 tons or more. This supply is from gold mines all over the world and is going to add to China's already immense production. The company goes around developing high potential gold mines and secures them at a low cost. So we can expect the IPO to go smoothly and the amount raised will probably exceed what they wanted. So China is now securing their gold supply chain for the future. It's the same playbook as rare earths and other clean energy metals. And why is Beijing doing this? It's because the dollar is crashing, de-dollarization is happening, and more countries will run to gold. And when that happens, who controls the supply? It's gonna be China. But let me know what you think. Can Bessent really rescue the collapsing dollar? And what is China's end game with gold? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe as we navigate through these crazy times.